Hello and welcome to Nationwide on NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori. We begin with the education sector. President Muhammadu Buhari has restated federal government's commitment to building educational systems that will foster ethical and socially responsible citizens to actively contribute to the sustainable development goals. He, however, laments that this vision of education for sustainable development, backed by huge government investment, is continuously undermined by corruption and incessant strikes in the sector. The president stated this while declaring open the 4th National Summit on Diminishing Corruption.
Tertiary level has been undermining our investment in the sector, and those who go on prolonged strikes on flimsy reasons are no less complicit. The 1999 Constitution places a premium on education by placing it on the concurrent list, thereby laying the responsibilities of budgeting and underwriting quantitative education on both the federal and state governments.
There is no better time to discuss the state of education in Nigeria and the role of corruption than now, when the humanistic purpose of education is apparently vanishing to the peril of the nation.
And my appeal to ICPC and EFCC and anybody who will be fighting corruption in Nigeria is to deepen what Mr. President has done. I hope the next president, whoever is going to be, will try to focus relentlessly and attack systemic corruption. Because this government has done its best. It has fought the corruption that has been caught. But the corruption that has not been caught is there, imperceptibly creating havoc beneath the surface. Systemic corruption must be fought if Nigeria is to be liberated.
Worthy that a lot has been done, especially by the ICPC, EFCC, and other institutions, and I must say they have done this very commendably since 2015 to tackle corruption in the Nigerian public sector. But a lot more still needs to be done. Efforts need to be redoubled, lessons ought to have been learned, strategies need to be reviewed and re-strategized, and more sophisticated weapons in court need to be acquired and deployed to kill corruption. For, as Mr. President was reported to have said several years back, if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us or kill Nigeria.
With JAMB and TSS, we conducted last year a series of undercover operations across the country on corruption in the university admission processes, leading to the busting of syndicates and the arrest of its leaders responsible for compromising the IGMB and JUPEP.
Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Education says it is putting a robust, steady cycle of regular monitoring and evaluation activities in schools nationwide to reposition its quality assurance system in states for effective and efficient service delivery. This was at a two-day conference by the Ministry for Directors and Coordinating Evaluators of Education from the 36 states and the FCT. The conference is focusing on effective education quality assurance activities in Nigeria. the policies, processes, and practices.
Of education quality assurance and the strategies is very vital if we are to maintain standards in our schools. And the process which can be done is through regular and continuous monitoring. Beyond inspection and supervision, there should be consequence management for compliance and non-compliance. If you do your quality assurance in school, basic or secondary is not doing what it's supposed to. You recommend the school to issue a policy to shut the school down. But for you to do your work very well, you need to have stronger synergy and concerted building amongst all evaluators, federal and states.
Serves as a forum for knowledge sharing to generate needed ideas to constantly review the education quality assurance processes and complement government's effort on transforming the nation's education sector. Away from education, President Muhammadu Buhari is to present the 2023 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly on Friday, the 7th of October 2022. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, read the executive communication and announced that the budget presentation will take place at a temporary chamber of the House of Representatives by 10 o'clock in the morning.
May I crave the kind indulgence of the distinguished Senate to grant me the slot of 10 hours on Friday, that's 10 a.m. on Friday, 7th October 2022, to formally present the 2023 appropriation bill to the joint session of the National Assembly. Please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest regards as I look forward to addressing the joint session. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
Nigerian youth under the auspices of Nigerian Youth Congress have commended President Muhammadu Buhari for appointing the youth into the National Council on Climate Change. Haman Jabani reports that they assured the president of the commitment to achieve the National Action Plan on Environment and other targets.
It is believed that young people can play an active role in protecting and improving the environment by adopting environmentally friendly practices, recycling different materials, as well as preserving resources such as water and electricity. With the words of President Muhammadu Buhari during the inauguration of the National Council on Climate Change, I quote, "Climate change is complex and dynamic, requiring multidimensional and multi-sectoral approaches to address its impact and avert its rapid advancement." End of quote. This explains why all groups are represented on the council, with President of the Nigerian Youth Congress representing the youth.
I think this is the first time such a gesture is being given to the youth constituency in this country.
Blessing should be able to ask. I should have the opportunity to also introduce the Nigerian youths that have talents in this area.
It is irrational thinking to appoint one of our own that deserve irrational support. I want to, like an Oliver Twist, but the president will expect more.
I want to urge all the youths all over the nation that this person that has been endorsed to champion the climate change, who is one of us, we should be able to give this person 100% support to make sure that this is achieved.
We are very confident about his ability to participate and represent the interests of youth as regards climate change.
They say engaging youth in environmental protection not only creates a direct impact on changing youth behaviors and attitudes, but possibly influencing their parents, relatives and families as a whole, as well as making their homes, schools and youth organizations more environmentally conscious. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
To politics now, Coalition of All Progressives Congress Igbo Women has pledged to use their numerical strength to work towards realizing the presidential ambition of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The women at a strategic meeting in Abuja said their desire is devoid of ethnic and religious sentiments. Salute Wanara reports.
Gathering like this is a common sight in a pre-election year. After carefully studying the activities of the APC thus far, the Igbo women said they stand to be counted in the process of sustaining the progressive government beyond 2023.
We are here today not just only to celebrate ourselves, but to come together to talk about an issue that is most dear to us. And what is that issue? Integration of Ndi Igbo in the national unity and stability of this country.
I think that at this point we have gone beyond that stage of ethnic bias, religious sentiment, or if you are Southeast or you're not Southeast. Prior to the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I spoke for Igbo presidency. I advocated for Igbo presidency.
So it behoves on us in the east, in the west, in the north, in the south, all over Nigeria, members of APC to support Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
They agreed that the Southeast geopolitical zone which they represent is top among the beneficiaries of the legacy projects of the current APC-led government. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
And the vice presidential candidate, Labour Party, Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, has assured Nigerians that his party will do all that is possible to promote unity and development in the country. The vice presidential candidate was speaking in Yola after a stakeholders meeting to strengthen the party structure in Adamawa State. Cynthia Benjamin Ayara reports.
These are stakeholders of Labour Party in Adamawa State, including parties, national and state assembly candidates in the forthcoming general elections. The meeting is at the instance of the party's presidential candidate Peter Obi, with a view to putting the party in order and ensure hitch-free electioneering campaign. The party's presidential running mate said the party is committed in providing good leadership at all levels for socio-economic development of the country.
Change is around the corner, and I'm inviting all Nigerians to see this. It is a gentle change. It is a realistic change by people who will bring about much needed changes in very reasonable ways.
The stakeholders meeting came at a time the Labour Party in Adamawa State has extended its structures in all the 21 local government areas, and the visit of the vice presidential candidate served as a moral booster to the party members. In Yola, Cynthia Benjamin Ayara, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to conduct an investigation into the incessant collapse of the national electricity grid. The House notes that in 2022 alone, grid collapse has so far been experienced 7 times. The resolution was sequel to a motion from Representative Sani Bala, who pointed out that since the privatization of the power sector in 2013, the national grid has collapsed more than 100 times. The House is concerned over the development whereby all key power generating plants experience a shutdown at once. The House Committee on Power has been mandated to conduct an investigation. In other news, the appointment of a new managing director, chief executive officer and 2 new executive directors of Nigeria's Sovereign Investment Authority has been approved by President Muhammadu Buhari. The approval was contained in a statement by Yunusa Tanko Abdullahi, Special Advisor, Media and Communications to the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The appointment of a new MD follows the expiration of the tenure of the erstwhile MD, Mr. Uche Oji, whose tenure expired on the 30th of September 2022 after serving 2 5-year terms, following his appointment on the 2nd of October 2012. Those appointed comprise Aminu Umar Sadiq, who is currently an executive director and head of infrastructure as the new MD CEO, Mr. Kolawole Owodunni, executive director, and Mrs. BC Makoju, executive director, all of the NSIA. Section 16, subsection 3 of the NSIA Establishment Act 2011 specifies that the Executive Nomination Committee be constituted to begin the process of recruitment and selection process for the replacement of Mr. Oji, the MD, and the executive directors. You're watching Nationwide on NTA. Time to pause here and let's join Adela in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Adela.
Elizabeth. This is Lagos. Exposing students to the rudiment of computer and coding from elementary school to higher institution is an avenue experts have devised to improve technological advancement in today's changing world. In this report, Hingino John Adams tells us the gains of impacting computer knowledge on the younger generation.
It is a technology-driven world, from workspaces to schools, as well as every aspect of human endeavor. Technology has taken the lead. Even children are feeling the impact through computer games and many others. As technology evolves, introducing children to its dynamism through coding is important.
One thing that coding will do to a kid is that it's going to teach them how to think. Like they're able to think rationally.
Putting coding into school as a liberal arts means that you're going to build every child's ability to be a part of solving the hardest problems in both Nigeria and Africa at large.
Experts believe that computer programming is the future. And going by the saying, children are the future, the clamor for catching them young, they say, is timely, as the positives are numerous to mention.
It's the language of the future, so it's important that children should learn it. We really need them to grow, to know how to develop these apps, to know how to develop this technology. They play with games, we need them to come up from the stage of for them playing those games. We want them to be developers of these games.
Giving every child, irrespective of social class and geographical location, the opportunity to explore coding and computer science, key players say will bring out hidden talents in the country. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And from the education sector, we move over to the maritime domain. Navigating the inland waterways most times is a Herculean task for both operators owing to setbacks suffered as a result of uncleared wrecks. Recent efforts by regulators in the industry are, however, geared towards ridding the sector of these wrecks to reduce boat mishaps. Abolade Salami reports.
This is the daily means of transportation for some people in Lagos. They set out every day with the hope of having a fruitful day and return home after the day's work to rest. But not everyone makes it, after all, owing to accidents on water. A sizable number of these accidents has been linked to wrecks. This has posed great threats to maritime activities across the country's waterways.
Wrecks have been causing so much damage our engines, the boats as well. So somehow have been affecting our jobs because there are some wrecks at these our places as well.
The statistics of how much wrecks are located in Nigerian waters is not exactly known because as they are removed, new ones are discovered.
But it is much easier for us to navigate now. Very well, not like before that there are restricted area that we can navigate through. But now since the wreck has been removed, it has helped us a lot and very much.
In the meantime, National Inland Waterways Authority NIWA says efforts are on to ensure safety as wrecks are being located and removal is imminent.
From our statistics, we have seen that human error and wrecks are mostly the major reasons why our boats capsize. So that's why when we have tackled the human error by introducing training for our captains, we feel it's necessary for the authority to also remove all these wrecks that is causing menace.
Aside the security threats and navigational challenges, there are staggering realities of loss of lives and revenue due to boat mishaps caused by wrecks. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Those are the contributions from Lagos. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. It's time for us to take a break, and when we return, Salamatu in Kaduna will give us stories from that zone.
Joining us on Nationwide, we begin with agricultural matters. As agricultural policies evolved by the President Muhammadu Buhari have continued to spur research and development of hybrid seeds to empower farmers, especially in the northern part of the country, to produce quality food in large quantities for both local consumption and export. It is in line with federal government desire to popularize research work by indigenous researchers that have produced hybrid seeds adaptable to northern climatic conditions. Let's hear more from Sagir Awad.
Farmers in northern Nigeria, like their counterparts in some parts of the country, have engaged in subsistence farming, which makes it difficult to produce more. Reasons are that seeds planted by farmers are of low quality and quantity. In addition, harsh climatic condition in northwest and northeast has been a factor against bumper harvest.
The yield it gives depending on the gap, meaning good agronomic practice made by the farmer.
This quest prompted popularization of a hybrid seeds developed through dint of hard work by a team of agricultural researchers at the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria as part of support to ongoing efforts by the federal government to make agriculture a hub of the nation's economy.
And also introduce the crop protection solutions for the same maize seed so that we ensure that our farmers are able to get maximum value, maximum yield, high yield, and more profits.
So basically our goal is to support food sufficiency in the country, and it's also evident in what we've had here today. We can see from the testimonies of the farmers.
The expectation is that the newly introduced hybrid seeds will enhance the economic fortunes of farmers and improve food security. With this development, farmers no longer use substandard seedlings during planting season, and in turn, they expect high yield. In Zaria, Tina Toro, NTA News.
That is a report packaged by Tina Toro. And away from Zaria, we move to Kano, as Kano State government has trained more than 400 women from across the 44 local government areas of the state on preparation of local balanced diets and importance of hygiene in food processing. Johannes Borough reports that the activity is geared towards achieving the federal government's quest of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Kano State is blessed with vast cultivable fertile land suitable for production of many crops. The state, which has the highest population in the country, is also reported to have largest percentage of unemployed citizens. These and other reasons prompted the state government to come up with the Kano Agro-Pastoral Development Project. Zainab Idris is lucky to be among the beneficiaries of the local diet and personal hygiene training. She has been into food business for the past 25 years, producing a local delicacy called awara. Prior to the training, she is unaware of how to derive maximum benefit from the enterprise.
I never knew that one can make juice from soya beans, but now we are taught on how to utilize everything from it.
I'll go and start our business to take care of my family. Project coordinator Kano Agro Pastoral Development Project speaks on the scheme.
Each one of them here, as they receive the training, they are also going to receive some support from the project. That support, they are going to utilize it when they go back to their respective local governments to do a sort of business that would help them to.
The project is expected to last for 5 years. In Kano, Johannes Hassan, NTA News.
That is it on our package from here. Elizabeth, it's over to you. Good evening.
Salamatu. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Sunusi Musa, a youth activist who just got elevated to the rank of a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, saying his accomplishments will inspire the nation's youth. President Buhari said Sunusi, who led hundreds of young men and women under the aegis of Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network to raise 50 million naira to procure the nomination form for President Muhammadu Buhari's run for office on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in 1999 is amongst the recent batch of senior advocates approved by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee. It described the conferment of the SAN on Sunusi as a big honor and a matter of pride for him and the nation's youth who look at emerging leaders with hope. To diplomatic relations, Nigeria and Saudi Arabia governments are required and have reaffirmed their resolve to strengthen trade and investments in accelerating reforms and sustaining the economic fortunes of the two countries. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Zubair Dada gave this assurance at the second session of the Nigeria-Saudi Joint Committee meeting in Abuja. Garba Mohammed Matala reports.
In solidarity by the Saudi government in joining Nigeria to celebrate her 62nd Independence Day, which coincided with the second session of the Joint Committee meeting, the mutual cooperation between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia has stood the test of time dating back to history. To this end, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Zubair Dada emphasized on the mutual interest of both parties, that states working closely in sustaining priority sectors of Nigeria and the Saudi Kingdom for a prosperous future.
Call on our senior officials and experts of both countries to kindly note that as they proceed with the important task of negotiation of the various MOUs and agreements, they should adopt a spirit of cooperation and flexibility with a view to concluding and signing these long-delayed agreements and MOUs.
Saudi Arabian Deputy Minister of Environment, Water and Agriculture for Fisheries, Ahmed Al-Kamishi, says many opportunities abound for cooperation, including trade, investment, technology, arts and culture.
Therefore, for this reason, we give priority to the leading participation of the private sector in both countries.
At the end of the two-day meeting, delegates are expected to fashion out modalities to further implement strategies emanating from the drawn-up agreements. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Atala, NTA News.
The need to create the enabling environment for Nigeria's promising young population to actualize their immense potential has been reiterated in the interest of the country's future. Discussing maximizing Nigeria's demographic advantage at 62, public affairs analysts said the desired environment can only be fostered through electing the right people into power. Ikemini Williams tells us more.
I'm telling you that my generation have failed this country, and I'm being very, very honest with it. I understand that there was a young man who could sit down in his sitting room and manipulate the banking sector using his computer, his laptop. I also understand that the world powers have already taken him away from here. Because for us, we see him as a criminal. For them, they see him as a talented person whose talent could be, directed to either good or bad.
Ahmad Sajo, former Commissioner for Information and Strategy of Adamawa State, reiterating the commonly held view, which he attributes essentially to poor leadership and the breakdown of values and institutions. He says the government needs to recognize and invest in the huge potentials of youths and convert it into a national asset base. The cybersecurity and IT experts harps on de-emphasizing certificate-based education, but rather promoting quality practical education.
There are technologies you can use to monitor your car. If somebody comes and steal it, you don't worry yourself. That car can be tracked anywhere.
Youths, drawn from the Not Too Young to Run movement and Yaga Africa, commend some government policies, but complain about the absence of the enabling environment to optimize them.
The cost of running businesses in Nigeria can cripple any idea. So you come up with your minimum capital to start up your business, but you have to spend a lot to just maintain the power.
They are of the opinion that if Nigeria is to get it right, human security must be taken into cognizance.
2023 is a defining moment. We cannot afford to get it wrong.
The guests therefore emphasized the importance of electing competent persons into political office in the 2023 elections and recommend the decentralization of the Nigerian police force for more effective policing across the country. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
Into other matters of concern, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Cross River State Command says it is recording significant results in the fight against economic sabotage with the arrest of one of the suspects alleged to be the masterminder of the incident of attempted vandalism of NNPC pipeline at a tank farm in Calabar recently. Maureen Leo Ajom reports.
On August 26, 2022, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps arrested one suspect in connection with the NNPC pipeline at a tank farm in Calabar. The suspect is said to be a security personnel of a moribund tank farm owned by Metal Energy and Gas, where the pipeline is connected to. This is the underground tunnel discovered. An NSCDC on investigation discovered that the tunnel is from the moribund farm into the pipeline, giving them the conviction that the tank farm must have permitted the illegal act. And on September 13, 2022, men of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in synergy with other security agencies were able to arrest one of the masterminder of the act, who is to be arraigned at the Federal High Court.
There are still some people who are at large. We are still after them. But for this one that we have, a mastermind and one of the people who aided in the crime. I think it's due time we go to court and let people understand that if you cannot do the time, don't do the crime.
The suspect admitted to the crime but appealed for justice to be tempered with mercy. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps had since sealed the moribund company, which the note claims to have nothing to do with the tunnel in its premises, even upon being indicted to be found in similar acts of sabotage in the year 2020. In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom, NTA News.
Normalcy has returned to the automobile market, popularly called Mechanic Village, in Oyo, Akwa Ibom State, following a fracas that led to many injured and destruction of property. Clement Bariku reports that though the area is calm, the Oyo Council authority is yet to reopen the market for business.
It is day 3 since the Mechanic Village was shut down due to a crisis that emanated as a result of disagreement between indigenous artisans and their Igbo counterparts on Friday at about 4:30 p.m. Today, the ever-busy Mechanic Village in Oyo is now a shadow of itself.
I think the government should come in and address the matter very well.
They don't close the mechanic now. I don't know how those people then go take it now.
The two persons got themselves involved in fights that led to injury, and somebody talked about that. That's unconfirmed. The mastermind, the major mastermind, and all those who played some form of roles, we have them in custody as I speak, and we don't have the other in court.
This is contrary to speculations in the social media that the crisis is the aftermath of a rally to support one of the presidential candidates in the 2023 elections.
In a private state, there wasn't any crisis in connection with the rally that was the rally started peacefully and ended peacefully.
As at the time of this report, the leadership of the Mechanic Village were in crucial meeting with authorities of the local government council, who are insisting not to reopen the market until all investigations are concluded. In Oyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
For more reports on Nationwide, let's join Comfort in Enugu. Hello, Comfort.
Thank you for joining us in Enugu. A security expert, Sam Otobese, has advised the youth across the country to look inwards and develop themselves to influence the world positively. He was speaking at an empowerment program organized for youth across the country. Okechukwu Agubama has the details.
Normally we use the language no way for drug. It's because people lack that knowledge, the effects of drug abuse. But if the NDLA officers are able to educate us well,
it will help us.
Crime doesn't pay anyone. And when you are good, you are first good for yourself and then to people around you.
These youths are some of the participants and beneficiaries of a one-day training on poverty alleviation and economic development of Sam Otobeze Foundation. Participants were selected from different parts of the country. The benefactor Samuel Otobeze emphasized that the empowerment of this nature would assist in reducing criminality and insecurity in Nigeria, maintaining that youths are not only the epicenter and driving force of the society, but the hope of a better tomorrow.
Resources to maintain them, the amenities continue to be overstressed because everybody depending on one thing. And because of that, crime is going up. So it's like a bicycle, when one is up, the other one is down. Bet raise up is astronomical.
The organizational manager of the foundation and some facilitators re-echoed the need for youth to engage in the productive activities and increase the economic fortune of the country.
We just really use the opportunity to give seed grants to the best beneficiaries, where they can use to start up small businesses and scale up whatever they are doing just to alleviate poverty.
But I am just encouraging the young ones to stand up and move on and let nothing deter them.
The training centered on the things youth should avoid so as to have a crime-free society. In Enugu, Okechukwu Agubama, NTA News.
And the Enugu state government, under its COVID-19 Action, Recovery and Economic Plan, Enugu Cares, has presented checks to 8 communities in the state as the first tranche of the total money mapped out for the development of some projects in the communities. Tinunwe also reports that the acting general manager, Community and Social Development Agency, Mrs. Ugochukwu Ubunadi, made the presentation on behalf of the state governor.
SDP NG Cares is a federal government COVID-19 intervention project which the Enugu state government keyed into. The presentation of checks to representatives of these communities, namely traditional rulers, president generals, town union executive, as well as executive of community project management committee, who are invited to the office of the Community and Social Development Agency in Enugu, signifies the launch of the project and its takeoff. 8 communities, namely Egede in Udi local government area, Igugu in Udenu, Leja in Nsukka, Ikono Afa in Udi, Ihab Wobolo in Udenu, Ichiago in Ibeze South, Agolomana and Amanshodo in Ezagu are benefiting from this project.
And some of CSD, and I'm presenting this check to you people. Go and use it for your community development.
And I thank God who has fulfilled the promise. We are refurbishing our cottage hospital that has been abandoned for years. We want to finish it so that it will start functioning again.
The communities are expected to execute these projects within a month, and when they have put these funds to good use, they will be given the second and third tranches. In Enugu, Chineye Nwoye, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from Enugu. Remember, you can follow this news broadcast live on our social media handle Twitter at NTA News Now, our Facebook page at NTA Network News, and our YouTube channel at NTA Live. We'll take another break here. Nationwide will continue with Fatima in Makurdi after this break. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Makurdi. The recent warning by several authorities of impending flooding in many states of the Federation is fast becoming a reality as settlements along the banks of River Benue are grappling with severe flooding. Elias Itiav, who visited some of the affected communities, reports that people have been forced to evacuate to safer areas.
Global warming occasioned by climate change has continued to remain a threat on several communities around the world, with effects of emissions and extreme weather conditions such as flooding and other environmental disasters. Benue, like many other states in Nigeria, is grappling with the devastating effects of flooding, which has sacked several communities, particularly those along the banks of River Benue.
If there is any way the federal government can, they can dredge the river
if government can just maybe allocate one layout and give us so that you can go and build your own thatch houses and it will be easy for us to do same. Otherwise, it was 2012 and by 2022 already we're experiencing another flood. You can see the level of water that is coming, and they are still saying they are releasing more water.
For these victims of flooding, the situation has compelled them to relocate to safer grounds pending when the flood waters will recede.
If there is a barricade of concrete, I feel it will help us very, very well.
Over time, we just the manager, they come out our store and the rest of them go outside, go and cook, come back.
An environmental expert, Professor Bernard Tube, who attributed the current global warming to human activities such as gas emissions, deforestation, and others, says it is a call for global action in addressing the challenge. He advocated a multi-sectoral approach towards addressing what has become a source of concern for all.
It is a call for all of us to approach these two perspectives at the same time. Mitigation practices and adaptation strategies.
As a way of addressing what has become an annual threat to communities, particularly along the river banks, stakeholders advocate the construction of more drainage channels as well as dredging of the river Benue in order to put an end to this. Elias, ATF, NTA News.
Benue State Governor Samuel Otom has declared that the state stands strong with the People's Democratic Party PDP in spite of the internal squabbles rocking the party. The governor stated this when he interfaced with the Zone B caucus of the People's Democratic Party in Benue State on the strategy for campaigning for the senatorial candidates of the district and other matters relating to the 2023 general elections. Charles Abba reports.
The Benue Northwest Senatorial District, otherwise Zone B, comprises 7 local governments of Makudi, Guma, Boko, Taka, Buruku, Gwe, and Gwe West. Governor Samuel Otom, who chaired the meeting, disclosed that leadership of the zone will emphasize their choice of his senatorial candidature.
In the 7 local governments, we are going to constitute a Zone B campaign team for the Senate, but from what we agreed at the state level is that this team will be integrated into the main campaign team which are the chairman.
Apart from strategizing on how best to campaign for victory in 2023, the governor called on the national leadership of the party to ensure justice and fairness for Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State based on the outcome of the party's convention.
Politics is about interests. And when your interest is not protected, you have the right to protest. And I think that is what is happening. The party leadership have not been able to deploy adequately the internal party conflict resolution mechanism to resolve those issues. And I sympathize with him, and I still stand with him.
He maintained that the right thing should be done to ensure that together the party can move forward. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
And that's it from Makudi. Nationwide continues in Abuja with Elizabeth. Fatima, and nice to see you. Still on political matters, preparatory to 2023 elections, the All Progressives Congress APC in the Northeast has commenced consultative tour in the 6 states of the sub-region to enhance unity and reconcile aggrieved members for the success of the party during the elections. Simon Asha reports.
No indication the All Progressives Congress APC in the Northeast is not giving anything to chance to ensure victory of the party come 2023 general elections. This is because the party has kickstarted its Northeast zonal tour to ensure unity of purpose of the party in all phases of its political activities. Hence, the gathering of stakeholders of the party to iron out grievances of party members with a view to reconciling their grievances for the good of the party. The meeting also reviewed the successes, challenges, and prospects going forward to ensure victory of the party in next year's polls.
Which we are going to go and see and have a comprehensive of suggestions, challenges, complaints,
Capitalize these ideas and present a synergies with residents of the area and the chairman purpose of what is who is the STA and the senior president. So normally this meeting is a very fruitful meeting, and you can see that everybody is living there happier than meeting.
Various stakeholders on the event commended the leadership of the party for the initiative to ensure unity, peace, and progress of the APC in the country. In Yola, Tamanasha, NTA News.
A book designed to ignite the desire for proper record creation, management, security and preservation has been presented to the public in Abuja. Adebola Buxton Sunday reports that the book is aimed at enhancing the ease of doing business in ministries, departments and agencies.
Thoughts may remain monopolized if not put on paper, and it is those on record that can be archived for present and future generations. It is against this background that Matthew Simon Aboy presented his book titled A Handbook for Archives and Records.
Quite often, if you go to the registry or to the record managers, it is a Herculean task for them to sort out any information that is needed. And of course, you can know without information, it hampers continuity, it hampers decisions for the present action that is needed, not to talk of the future.
The book reviewer, Professor Gabriel Alegbeleye, described the book as comprehensive.
The book therefore stimulates public and private sector officials to examine their current methods of coping with their record problem and the benefits that may be derived from well-planned programs.
And I encourage all of us here to try to document whatever we do. No matter how small it is, you'll be surprised how it will impact the lives of other people. And I think your life is only worth it when it impacts positively on the lives of others.
It is very, very important that we should support this type of initiatives so that we'll be able to bring the culture of record keeping, the culture of preservation of today for the betterment of future generations, for the betterment of tomorrow, so that our own children and great-grandchildren will appreciate the labors of our today.
The 12-chapter book splits into records acquisition, registry operations, reservation, and conservation is expected to serve as a guide for proper management of records. Adebola Brooksland, NTA News.
Away from archiving, the Nigerian Medical Association in Kogi State is worried over the possible outbreak of an epidemic arising from increased risk of waterborne diseases caused by flooding. The association in a press briefing called on well-meaning Nigerians to lend support to ongoing efforts towards assisting those affected by flood. Deborah Iyola Samuel tells us more.
Against the backdrop of the devastation caused by the 2022 rise in flood level, Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, accompanied by some top government officials, have embarked on an on-the-spot assessment of the situation from Pata Riverside to Adankolo area of the metropolis. The governor described the wreckage as massive, but noted that it could have been worse but for the embankment project. He assured residents that government is working on finding a lasting solution to the problem.
This particular flood that come now has given us another opportunity to see how much we can expand the city and town of Lokoja and all of the other cities and local government that are currently underwater.
At the St. Luke Primary School IDP camp at Dankulu, Lokoja, Governor Bello gave flood victims words of encouragement.
I am here with you. Within our reach, within our power, we will bring all the necessary support, palliative assistance to all of you. In terms of food items, when water recedes, we will ensure that those that need to be relocated from where they are to a new site or a more permanent place in case we are going to do that. I call on all of you to please remain peaceful and calm.
He again appealed for support from members of the public. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
And next, some sporting stories. And that ends Nationwide today. Thank you so much for your time. Do remember to always take action against rape and rapists. I'm Elizabeth Omori.